He's also a great racquetball player. The next person I'd like to introduce, the gentleman has done a great job in coaching and officiating, Mr. Paul Clementi. Can everyone see Paul?
Get the stool.
Dan asked me to keep this short. I'm always short. And now the short jokes are out of the way. So a lot of people here, the wrestling community, this is great to see so many people I know, either wrestlers, coaches, officials, parents. Everyone here in this room is connected in some way in wrestling. I want to thank the committee for the nomination. I want to congratulate my fellow inductees. And, you know, there's a lot of people who came to see me tonight. I didn't know I had that many friends other than Facebook, but those aren't real friends. So I'd like to acknowledge my brother and his wife, his daughter and her husband, and my cousin Diane. All of them came from Wisconsin, and we have my cousin Linda from Minnesota. And I come from a wrestling family. My dad wrestled at Marquette University. My brother Mark was a manager of the wrestling team at Marquette. That counts. My brother, who was after Mark? My brother Frank wrestled. My brother John wrestled. My brother Steve wrestled. My brother Peter wrestled. Most of them wrestled at Dos Pueblos High School, which we call the honored enemy, because they kicked our butts so many times at Ventura High. Took me 12 years to beat them, but I did. Yeah. What happened was I couldn't go out for football because I had one kidney. I'm not kidding you. And so I felt left out. And I always played tackle football. My dad would catch me playing, and he'd drive the car up, and you can't keep doing this. You might, if you lose your other kidney, you know, then we have cheaper food bill, but we would be upset. So I started wrestling. They finally had wrestling my senior year in high school. Then I went to Marquette University. I met two very great gentlemen, one named Barney Carpfinger, the other Larry O'Neill. They were my coaches. They were both inducted into the Wisconsin chapter of the USA Wrestling Hall of Fame. They're both deceased, but they had a profound effect on my life as far as coaching, and even a greater effect on my life as far as being a human being. And I tried to carry on what they taught me and instill that in my wrestlers. And anyone who's coached knows this is true. I have wrestlers who used to wrestle for me who now coach, and they have instilled it in their wrestlers. And so it starts somewhere and it never really dies. It just keeps going on, and that, I think, is great. 1977, I started teaching at Ventura High School. And they looked at my resume and said, "Oh, you're a wrestling coach? Or you wrestled at Marquette University? Okay, you're now the head wrestling coach," which I was not ready. And we had Dan Maxey, my good friend, who was the first assistant wrestling coach at Ventura High with me. And I think Dan and I knew equally about this much as far as running a team. And it took 12 years, and we finally beat our honored enemy, Dos Pueblos, which is Mike Hart was the wrestling coach here. He was recently inducted. And is Tom Hazel, he's a fellow inductee. Is Tom in the audience? Okay. Here's a real quick anecdote. For my brother Steve, that means a story. Okay. So what this happened was, I was coaching at Ventura, Mike was coaching at Dos Pueblos. Mike Hart said, "We'll go down to the seating meeting together." The seating meeting was El Camino College. You had to just get on the 405 and drive till you're almost out of gas, and then you're almost there. And the traffic was horrendous. My eyes, you know, you talk about fumes. This was, so we finally get there. I'm exhausted. The meeting hasn't even started. I tell Coach Hart from DP, my honored enemy, that I'm going in the bathroom to wash up. Within about 30 seconds, the door bursts open, and in comes Tom Hazel, staring me down, and he says, "Who's smoking pot in here?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" "I can tell you've been smoking pot. Your eyes are bloodshot." I said, "I don't know what you're talking about. I've been driving on the 405 for 3 hours. Your eyes would be bloodshot too." And to this day, and I'll have to ask, Tom, can you stand up? Just stand up. Tom is, now, you have to understand, as you get older, you shrink. So, I was even smaller at that time, and Tom was even bigger at that time. And he just, to this day, Coach Hart admits to nothing. And I think he had something to do with it. But, that's my anecdote. But I want to thank Mike Hart, because he was my mentor. He took me under my wing in high school, and the only reason I didn't quit those first 12 years, and with parents who were kind of insane, and I wasn't that good of a coach, and getting our butts kicked by Dos Pueblos all the time, was the thought of one of these years I'm going to beat Mike Hart. I'm going to beat DP. And finally in 1989 we did that. And I also have several wrestlers here tonight. Kevin Hobbs, who flew in from the state of Washington. All right. Dustin and Trevor Clockerty, both state placers for Ventura High School. Dustin, one of the meanest soup people I've ever seen. And Jacob Archibald, and one of those parents, I'd like to thank Graham Clockerty, who's helped out over the years with Ventura, and also Mr. Bob Archibald, one of our parents who's helped out over the years. And the highlight of my career at Ventura High School had to be 1992 when we won both the CIF individual and the CIF dual meet championships. And many teams have done it many more times than Ventura, but we were the first team to win both. So that's, you know, historical. And I've now since, and also he's not here tonight, Cristobal Gonzalez was our state champion as a senior, also voted MVP by his fellow wrestlers that year. So that was, I said in 1992, the quote in the paper, "If I died tomorrow, it would all be worth it," because this is heaven, just winning that CIF title, both of them. Yeah. But real quick, I've gone over to the dark side. I have since gone over to officiating. And I would like to acknowledge my fellow, I officiated for 20 years in folk style, freestyle and Greco with Mr. Pat Calwather, one of the best officials I've ever seen or worked with in my life. But this table over here is all my fellow California high school officials from our association, and I'd like to thank my mentor, Mr. Erwin Goldblum. And we have a contest going over who's the smallest. I also like to thank my very good friend, Mr. Ralph Martinez, who's videotaped more Ventura High School athletic events than anyone I know. He's been a true friend, and I owe him more than I can ever repay him. And the last thing I want to say is, I know my sister and my father are watching from above, and I know they would be very proud. And also my mom, Cecilia Clementi,
Right there.
who is, she is actually a spy for Ventura High School, because over the years, whenever DP would wrestle, she lives in Goleta, she would get the Santa Barbara newspaper, I'd call her up to get the lineup. I said, "Read to me, what happened, who won, what way?" And I attribute some of our wins against Dos Pueblos to my mom's reconnaissance. Also, my dad, probably my biggest fan. I remember one time I was very discouraged at a loss, and I think we lost to Dos Pueblos. And he said to me, did your kids wrestle the best they could? Did they give 100%? And I said, yes. And he says, then you don't have to be discouraged, because that's all you can ask of them. And I started adapting that philosophy, and winning just happened. And all the wrestlers out there who are now coaches, it's never been about winning or losing. Some of these kids have turned into fantastic success stories. All of you who coached wrestlers in this room know what I'm talking about. And last thing I'd like to say is, if I have left anyone out, I apologize, but I want to accept this award on behalf of volunteers all over the place. I was fortunate enough to be recognized, but there's so many people out there who would earn or deserve an award just like this if they were recognized. I especially want to thank Manuel Valdez and Larry Mortensen from Thousand Oaks, because they're two people I know who have been there for the past 20 years every Saturday, giving their time. But thank you all, and I truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. God bless all of you.